Well, hello everybody. It's time for some more Doom Capture the Flag. Are you ready? My name is Xenaero, and I am joined today by a veteran of the league, veteran of Doom Capture the Flag in general. Ross King is joining us today. How you doing, Ross?
Hello, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we're looking at a grand finals between Jogo Bonito and modern old school zombies, which now everyone can see on the screen, with the home team having 5 wins under their belt with 1 loss, and the team challenging them for the crown is going to have 4 wins, 1 tie, and 1 loss. So the records are pretty close together. What can you tell us about these two teams?
Well, Jogo and JB, I would say that they're a more aggro style type of team. They're very pressure heavy. Whereas I would say that modern old school zombies is kind of like on the opposite side of the spectrum, with playing like a little bit more defensively, a little bit more methodically. They're kind of like, I feel like their whole playstyle revolves around just making sure that their defense is secured, and then they try to slip a flag or 2 up and then try to play it slower. So,
all right. So when we talk about the first map that we'll see, which I believe is map 23, what are we looking for with these teams when their boots touch the ground?
So on map 23, it's definitely like a smaller pace. It's a smaller map that definitely fits JB's playstyle, just because, again, they're an aggro heavy team. They're going to be pressure heavy. Like, this is a map that it just allows JB to be able to push up and control the mid and be able to essentially overwhelm with pressure. Modern old school zombies, they can contest with frag power. Like, they're no slouches, and actually it's going to be a really good matchup because of the idea that both teams have really good frag power behind both of them. So it's not the fact that modern old school zombies won't be able to counter pressure, but I just think in their, philosophy of trying to play this game is that I think that they're going to essentially try to play a little bit more defensive, more safe, which might end up punishing them on the map and kind of favors JB.
All right. When we look at the roster for JB and Moz, we're looking like, what are the players here that we should be paying attention to? Who are the pillars of their team, and who's going to be supporting them in this best of 5?
So Ninja Dog, obviously the captain for JB. I think he's the main. He's the driving force behind the entire team. Obviously being the captain, but as well as just shot calling, he's really great at doing that. I would say the same thing about Dragon. Obviously being the captain of his team. He's captained many times before. So those are the 2 top players that you want to look out for. But honestly, like, if you put them together, like if you compare the 2, like, they're very well equal in skill, and I'm just assuming that Dragon and Denzoa are probably going to be playing like the mid and D. Ninja Dog and Ed probably be doing like the mid and D. And Frost King comes in, they'll probably be doing like more so mid support. And then Denzoa, Toby, Killer, and Sharp will be on the offense. Now, I think the biggest thing to watch for is, I don't think, like, if I compare Ninja Dog and Dragon again, I think that Dragon is going to be their defense, or even if it was Denzoa. But the idea is that defensively, they're on par with each other. Mid, they're on par with each other. Offensively, I would say that Sharp is probably a little bit more fine-tuned than Toby or Killer, but I honestly don't think that's what's going to essentially change the tide or determine the winner here. I think, honestly, it's going to come down to who has the better mid presence and being able to apply enough counter pressure not overextend, and making sure that they're helping offense and defense.
All right. I mean, awesome. Like, both teams are pretty flexible, and that's why they are in the grand finals of the Avenging CTF League. Talking a little bit more about the league, it is more of a blitz style schedule this time around than it has been in the past. This is like the 5th week total of the league. We had 2 weeks of the regular season with 2 games each week for each team, so it was really crammed full of games for the regular season, which only lasted 2 weeks. Then it was right into the quarterfinals, semifinals, and now the grand finals. So these teams have had relatively little time to coalesce with each other compared to other capture flag leagues where captains would draft their picks and practice and have a long stretch of time to really come together. Do you think that has impacted these two teams at all on their way to the grand finals?
As far as Dragon and Zoa, I think that they've been playing kind of together for many years. And Toby, has played with Dragon plenty of times. I think Killer's a new guy coming in, so I feel like if there's any sort of synergy that or disconnect, it'd probably be with Killer. But Dragon, Toby, and Denzoa, I feel like they're all used to each other. They've been playing with each other for years. Now, when we go over to Ninja Dog, Ed, Sharp, and Rust King, I feel like they have good synergy. But again, what you're saying is that they weren't given like a whole lot of time to really get used to each other. They have been playing with each other. Ninja Dog came in like a year or two ago, and ever since he's been doing really well. But if you compare that idea to, again, Dragon and Denzo and Toby, who've been playing with each other for nearly a decade now, there's definitely like a lack of synergy going on JB, but I wouldn't say that that's going to determine the outcome at all.
All right, so before we get into the maps, before we show the audience what maps we're going to be seeing in this best of 5, is there anything else you want to talk about these two teams or any of the players?
Not in the top of my head.
All right, I'm going to hop in the empty server here. I think it was MDF Vengeance server number 2, New York, and then we'll go over the maps. Give me a second here. Do that. And thank you again to everybody for coming out and sharing a little bit of the fun that we have to offer here in Doom 2 Capture Flag. So we're playing map 23 first, right?
Yes, map 23 is going to be first.
All right. All right, so now I'm currently floating through map 23 as it goes, looking at the red side. What in this map? Why don't you walk us through map 23 and what the points of interest are?
Map 23, the biggest point of interest obviously comes out to the middle with the Soul Sphere. You've got 2 side lifts going up to the top, and then you kind of got your main entrances that just go right into the base. The top way is essentially going to be like the main way that runners try to sneak out, because when you go the top way, there's like you're almost immediately to your base when you try to cross over. So that's going to be the biggest route when people grab the flag. But as far as getting in, anything's free game. When you're trying to run to get into the base, it's essentially whatever is closest or whatever works out, trying to do damage, trying to just get in as fast as possible, trying to maybe sneak in by taking less damage. I've seen people take the lift to go up top, just like he's doing right now. It's not a very complex map. It's pretty straightforward, but the Soul Sphere in the middle definitely mixes things up, and then otherwise it's pretty straightforward.
Are you thinking either team is going to have the advantage here? This is JB's home field, but is Moz going to be able to wrest control away from them? Because the way the playoff pick works, for people who haven't seen this league format in the past, we will be playing the first 2 maps of this best of 5 on this map. So it would benefit Moz to take a map away. Do you think they'll be able to do it?
I think there's definitely a potential chance, that they can, but I just think that this map suits JB's playstyle so much more. It's very fast paced. It's very aggro heavy. The pressure is going to be overwhelming, and if MOZ tries to rebuttal and try to apply counter pressure, then it could easily be anyone's game.
All right. Now this map is going to be first and second map. So if JB takes their home field, they will be up 2-0 and only have to play. And presuming they win the next game, I mean, there may be just they'll be on match point on the next map, which is map 5. And this map is... I've always thought this map is pretty interesting. How has this map played out so far in the league, in your eyes?
I honestly thought that this map was this map surprised me. It's playing a lot better than I initially anticipated. I think the biggest thing is that the middle is very straightforward, very grindy, but because there's so much room in the back of the base, it gives the runner more distance to be able to essentially hide and separate himself, create the distance, so that way he can sustain long enough for his team to support, come up and support and push up. I think that this is more of a slow and methodical kind of map, which is why I think it honestly suits MOZ, because it's just very dependent on how well you can hold down the fort, but at the same time coordinate your defense to push up and make coordinated pushes.
Do you think we'll see any kind of rocket jump shenanigans? I mean, we do see a rocket launcher in each base, and the mid, I mean, there's no clear-cut way across, but a well-placed rocket jump from a corner?
If you actually go to the window where that rocket is, I've seen people try to rocket jump outside that window to do a quick, you just fly right down the mid, and kind of a surprise. You don't really expect it, but if people expect it, then it's not really that viable. But I've definitely have seen a few caps just because nobody thinks, why would he do that? Because you're essentially taking all your health away and potentially ruining a good run. But it's a high risk, high reward, and sometimes it's so unpredictable that it's so fast moving that it's just the guy goes right over your head.
Yeah, you'll have to be quick on the trigger, and in some way you might have to have already gotten burned to expect it. There is a gate that is present in each base, and that can help either slow down. Well, it can slow down the runner, or it can slow down any people trying to return the flag. The base is laid out a little bit. There's a lot of off angles that don't seem to mesh together naturally, and that could be a great benefit towards a flag carrier who's waiting for their own flag to be returned. You said that this is a little bit more methodical map. Do you think we'll see the full 10 minutes play out on this map?
Oh, definitely, especially just because I think MOZ is going to play this map super defensive. I think that's what we've been seeing throughout the entire season so far when they have been playing on this map. I do not think that we're going to see, especially given the fact that, we're doing 10 captures as a cap limit. I think on 23 we'll definitely hit the cap limit, but here this is going to be such a slower map unless the only way I see this map actually getting played out to cap limit is that if chaos just erupts, people are starting to lose their cool, and they just start pushing, and it's a very potential possibility, but at the same time I don't know. I just see this map going a lot slower just because of the nature of how fraggy it is.
All right, and that is your two maps for the grand finals. Again, we will see this map get played maybe second or third and fourth of the rotation, and we only see it played in map 4 if Moz is able to take a home field map away or tie on the previous map that we covered. But for right now, we're going to switch back to what server are they in? Are they in the first one?
I have not refreshed yet. 1 second.
Okay.
Looks like they're in number 3.
All right, so we'll go ahead and head over there. Let's see, quit out of there, and then players starting to gather in that one server. All right. I had to refresh the game capture. Sorry about that, everybody. There we are. And players are required to demo in this league. Yeah, we do have a new... there's a new obituary feed in this version of Automax, which shows up in the upper right corner. So that explains the little change in the overlay compared to previous league broadcasts I've done. And that's sort of a work in progress, but it looks good for right now. So you may see a little bit of clipping when it comes to very long messages in the upper left, but it's pretty cool to have the score up top and center of the screen, and that will be updated at each intermission screen.
So going into this, based off of what you know, if you were to put your money on a team, who would you put it on?
I've been like a very frag heavy player for a long time. But Ninja Dog gives me pause, and I think that sort of control is something that Moz is going to have to really focus on to wrest away from a player like Ninja Dog, who may park himself in the center of the map and do a ridiculous amount of damage and mitigate a lot of the running efforts that Moz may put out. So if I were to give a flat prediction, I'd probably give it to JB 3-1.
Yeah, I do feel a little bit pretty similar in that regard. And it's more so just the idea that JB has home field advantage. They have the ping advantage right now. And, I mean, on paper, these teams look pretty dead even. But having those advantages for JB, like, I think that's literally the biggest factor going into this. That's on like that. Honestly, I think that JB edges out. Otherwise, I think that these teams are actually like this is a really good matchup. I don't know. I think it's going to be very, very close. I wouldn't say that it's going to be heavily favored. I mean, if it is heavily favored, then we're going to see it pretty quick going on to the first match. And but when we hit the second map in round 3, that's when it's going to start getting interesting because now MOZ is going to have their home field advantage. And again, the map plays a little bit more to their play style. So it will be interesting by round 3. And round 1 and 2, it's just kind of up in the air to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, and both teams have been practicing, so it's not like we're going to have a case of a team going in cold and potentially getting steamrolled, and that would, obviously heavily affect morale, if so. But, these are, like, every player that's going to be on both these teams, Dragon, Denzoa, Toby, Sharp, Ninja Dog, and presumably Ed. They may field rusting, I don't know. But a fun statistic for people out there is that switching your lineup after the first game has led to more losses than not, if I remember correctly. I believe that stat was covered in the last World Doom League, and it may still hold true today, but it looks like they're going to field Ed, and without any substitutions, that is the team we're going to see. We're going to see Sharp, Ninja Dog, Dr. Noob, also known as Ed, against Dragon, Denzoa, and Toby. So, looks like we're about to get underway. Teams are all, I presume, ready to go. And we're just waiting for the call vote. May have to unplug the disco floor to get the players to call vote, to the map. We don't know yet. All right, we're starting off on round 1. We're going to be watching Dragon.
Looks like he's assuming a mid roll.
First flag touch goes to Sharp, but doesn't get quite out. Sharp comes up on the flag. He's being supported. And you do see the new obituaries in the top right. If you're keeping track of the game state, that will be your indication if there's a lot of coverage happening in the red base for the flag runner. Sharp again with another touch. No touches yet for Moz until now. Toby trying to get out. Does not hit the one shot that's required to get him out of there. But teams are looking pretty even so far. 1 minute in. Toby's out and across. Ed, low on health, out the side. Covered by his teammates. Both carriers low on health. We're swapping between. You see the name of the player that we're spectating on the lower center of the screen. Good return from JB, but is their flag room clear? It is. First blood goes to Jogo Bonito.
I honestly wasn't expecting that return so easily. It just seemed like it could have went either way.
I mean, hey, we got 8.5 minutes left, so really anything can happen in a game that moves this quickly.
Looks like JB is definitely timing has better timing on the Soul Sphere in the middle right now, but I do like what MOZ is doing. Like they're not hesitating, they're not pulling back, they're applying enough pressure, and look, I think that's exactly what got them that cap. Yeah. They're doing exactly what they need to do to stick in this.
We saw Daizoa and Dragon in the obituary feed covering Toby perfectly, allowing for a cap back, really. I mean, just a revenge cap. There's a couple different names for it I've seen people use so far, but we're tied 1-1 now. So teams are tied, teams are feeling each other out in the first of this best of 5. Are you seeing any trends so far in any sort of control?
It honestly this looks like a really just well-balanced game. Like both teams are trying to do time pushes at like the exact right timing. Ed's not supporting Sharp he actually got away by himself. Wow.
Yeah, make sure you cut those corners and don't lose momentum by touching the walls. So Sharp did a good job taking those the route that revealed the least amount of him as possible.
Oliver at the middle, trying to control and get that Soul Sphere timing.
And again, a member of JB grabbed that sphere. Ed, 10 health, shotgun behind him. Can't get around the corner quick enough.
Sharp in for next touch. Shut down.
Yeah, this map is pretty grindy. Again, we're not going to 5 flags, rather. But 10 is the limit. Or 10 minutes, and it looks like so far we might be trending towards the 10-minute limit. No team is blowing each other out as of yet. Good returns at the middle.
Yeah, it's hard to say if it's going to continue to stick like this. I feel like both teams are trying to... I feel like they're all pretty nervous and they're playing a little bit more defensively. I feel like both teams are kind of like, I guess, scared to overextend.
Yeah, the first round jitters affect even veterans. No one wants to lose an early lead or a potential early lead. So stonewalling is common in the first map of a series. And that flag fell through the invisible bridge.
And in for next touch.
Trait in the Doom engine. If bridge things are used, a solid object like a flag will drop below it.
MOC has 2. Head's falling back. Denzo actually did a rotational push there, which is really nice by them. Trying to keep that.
Why don't you explain what a rotational push is?
So essentially, when you have your team is supposed to be structured as like a mid, O, and D, and essentially when you have all of the pressure in your favor, everybody pushes all the way up to mid, and when you realize that your teammates have died, essentially instead of just sitting out there and continuing to frag, what you want to do is go for a touch as a defender, so that way, like, you're keeping the team to pull back against you. You're not giving them a free ride out to mid, and it's better to do that again just because it's positional advantage.
All right, yeah, you want to keep that momentum up. You want, it's part of having a touch on the enemy team is the other team has to respect that. They have to answer it.
MLZ all in their base right now. JB applying really, really good pressure.
Tons of pressure, which is fantastic, and even the best players can crack eventually with that sort of pressure. It can only take one bad spawn, one good touch, and then the momentum shifts again. Ed looks like he's getting out to mid. Got a little bit of health left to him. But he gets picked up. And gets chained back into their base, but pressure's on them to be able to return it.
Now the issue is that because JB's trying to apply so much pressure, there's a lot of blind spots in this map, and Ninja Dog kind of let the runner slip in.
And great teamwork from JB. Ninja Dog capturing the flag. They do have a flag out. Dragon goes back down the ramp and out to mid. Jukes one, but not the other. Gotta be careful not to block your own teammates on the super shotgun pickup there in the wall.
That's notoriously annoying.
And that can cost you a precious couple seconds, allowing the other team to push up. Even 1 second lost can make a big difference in how your team positions across the map.
Wow.
JB running a train on the map so far, 4-1. A lot of great pressure, and the team moving as a unit, covering their own carrier or picking up the flag as it goes. Dragon gets up to the insta-lift, but it is returned.
Dragon's making some good moves, but I don't know exactly what it is he's lacking in comparison. I almost wonder if maybe put Denzo on mid, switch it up. I don't know.
Let's watch Xenaero for a moment. At least before the next carrier grabs something. Dragon didn't get far outside the base at all.
Oh, they're all pushed up.
Toby does have that soul, but it doesn't... Oh, the soul sphere honestly helped him get back to the flag. That mid coverage was where it needed to be. And now Moz is only 2 under JB instead of 3, which is a great momentum shift, but they only have 1:45 left to capitalize on that. They need more flags. And we're reaching 1:30. If we're looking at the same map played in the next round, do you think we'll see any sort of change up from how Moz is structuring their approach to this map?
Sorry, I'm back. I had somebody at my door.
Oh, you're fine. We're looking at 1 minute left on this map, right? So we're looking at a repeat of this map. Moz is down 2 flags. Do you think we'll see an adjustment in how they approach the map?
I mean, it's hard to say, right? Because they might have been practicing this specific lineup all week, and I mean, I think the only switch that they can really rely on would be to switch Dragon and Denzo between mid and D, and I don't know how well that would like what kind of results that would yield. If I don't know how much of a difference it would make, but I mean, I feel like that's like the only option you have at this point if you want to look for something to change. But maybe you played around, you're getting used to the entire the match. Maybe they'll be able to come up with a response. Given all the I guess feeling out how this team's played. I mean, it feels like they're starting to make more of a defensive standoff. As I say that.
Ooh. Double shot from Dragon on the screen, but too little too late as time runs out, and JB will take the first round. What do you think we're going to see coming into round 2?
I think honestly, I think they're going to try to stick exactly with what they had. I think that they were starting to do a little bit better towards the end. They got a cap. They weren't leaking nearly as much, and I think if they're going to make a change, it's literally just going to be switching Dragon and Denzoa. But I think that it's probably best for them, probably just to keep doing what they were doing because they were getting a momentum game at the end. I feel at least.
All right, and no lineup changes from either team going into round 2. Still Ninja Dog, Ed, and Sharp against Toby, Dragon, and Denzoa. We are seeing this map one more time before we switch over to Maz's home field. And while I was chatting away, Ninja Dog was able to secure an early capture for JB. Early momentum is in Jogo Bonito's favor.
Yeah, it looks like at the start of the game, at least, Denzoa is still playing defense, but I think I'm starting to see him run now. I feel like I feel like at this point they've made the adjustment.
Let's watch Xenaero a little bit. He does have green armor that reduces 1/3 of all incoming damage as long as you have it. And it looks like 2 runners in, and they were cleaned up by Ed and Sharp.
Yeah, it looks like Dragon's taking the defensive now.
And one thing I noticed too, trying to find Dragon here. Dragon has locked his mouse look to the Doom default, where you cannot manually aim up and down, which is surprising for a player with a high ping. It shows that you can play Doom how you like, and you should be able to do well.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that depend. I don't know. It's just a old school way of playing, and some people like have gotten used to it. I mean, there's when we play Duel, that's kind of like what the settings that we're accustomed to.
Ooh, a quick return from Toby on the stand of his enemy. Great last-second return from Toby. Sharp with a touch. Trying to juke his enemy, but can't land a shot. Dragon returns it.
MOZ all push back right now, trying to make a push out.
2.5 minutes in, frag counts are about identical. 55 for JB, 50 for Maz, showing that no team has a clear advantage as far as frag power goes. It's all about synergy, and it's all about covering their carrier. Sharp out with nearly full health. He's got 75, but Toby loses the flag, and Sharp captures it with help from his team.
That was amazing support by Ed there. He literally just kept Dragon contained, and essentially when Sharp went back in the base of the flag, it was kind of like a 50-50, depending on Ninja Dog, to just clean up house.
Each player kind of picking their target and then marking them, making sure they can't move outside their boundary. Again, yeah, like you said, great containment from JB, and that's the kind of play that you expect from the home team. Dragon is away with the flag. It doesn't get picked up. It gets returned. Sharp out mid, but surrounded and returned.
Got 2 in MOZ's base. Ed there for the support, but unfortunately wasn't there to kill the next guy.
A lot of flags being picked up, a lot of flags being returned very quickly, though. The rate of flags getting out of the base is comparatively low, and this is a pretty frag-heavy map. But there's a pickup from Ed. Can get picked up again. Picks up by Ninja Dog. And then covers himself. 5 health left, 3-0 in favor of JB.
Yeah, JB's pressure right now is just overwhelming. I do notice that
stopping to talk. You're in the grand finals, and you think you got time to talk while you're 3 flags under? How well do you think Maz's morale is looking right now?
I think that it's starting to look pretty grim, but you know, the best way that you can look at it is that, I mean, you're gonna have to see this map again if you do bring it back to your own home field. I mean, it's still 5 minutes left. You could see them come back, but it's more than likely not going to be very probable. And the thing is that when you go to your own home field, you need to have the idea that you can reset your mentality and try, because I don't know, when you maybe going through your maps and getting a morale boost if you do win both of your home field maps, which is probably going to be the only case if they can bring this back. But
I mean, for sure, like oh, and a return on the stand, the red flag stand. Actually, it could have been put a point on the board, but it was returned by JB last second. I almost wonder if it might behoove Moz to mentally kind of say, okay, we're losing this one, let's focus on our own home field and see what we can do. Do you think those discussions are happening on their side of the voice channel?
I definitely do. I mean, it's either that or they're just mentally exhausted or drained at this point. It's hard to say. I mean, it's not like they've completely given up, but at the same time, it's not looking good for them, you know, so far.
I mean, after 6.5 minutes, they're down by 5, so there would have to be a monumental collapse of JB for them to recover 5 flags at this point, I believe.
Yeah, that's just not going to happen. JB is doing phenomenally well, and I mean, MOZ, they're getting opportunities, but I just don't think that they're. I don't know. I feel like they're helping each other as much as they need to be. They're just not there for each other.
That green armor saved Egg's life as he just barely squeaks by the flag stand. But then there's a revenge cap from Denzoa. So can't call it a shutout.
Yeah, all of the blue team was back in the base, which gave Red an open opportunity to essentially overwhelm them.
Another capture. Moz looking weaker and weaker as time goes on. A little bit of shit talk. All right.
Oh man. Jesus.
You know, sometimes those players think they can find the time in the grand finals to sit tight and hit that talk key. But if anything, then an easy from the currently winning team might motivate Moz to come back and smack him in the face on their own home field. I mean, they may be winning the round, but they haven't won the series yet. We have seen collapses before.
It's definitely possible. Like I said, next map, I think it's definitely gonna suit MOZ's play style a little bit more. So, best case scenario for MOZ, they go into their, I don't foresee them coming back in this match, but they reset, they go into their home field, they try to make it happen on their home field, and then, then it's 2-2 tied, and all they need is to win one game. They'll have to come back here, but at the same time, maybe winning 2 games will give them a good morale boost. And even right now, they're making caps, which is, I think, accumulating more morale for them going into the next match.
Yeah, that momentum absolutely carries over as a competitive player. You think about that and you're like, okay, we're able to bite them back a little bit. Looking at the frags on the screen right now, Ninja Dog with 86, eclipsing every player on Moz by 20. So Ninja Dog a very strong shot, as to be expected.
Yeah, and definitely having the ping advantage is playing a factor there.
Minor ping difference between most of Moz and players like Ninja Dog and Dr. Noob. I mean, 50 does sound like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, it really is more about how you position, how you pick your engagements. chain gun work from Toby, getting in his face and returning the flag. We're about to see the end of round 2. It's a best of 5, so JB's already at match point with 2 wins on their home field, but now they won't be in Kansas anymore.
The good takeaway from that is that they were starting to make caps, and while it didn't matter, again, what we were talking about, it's definitely going to help their morale going forward. Like, they were starting to essentially net positive, if that makes sense. They weren't leaking anymore. They were getting more flags, and if they play like that when it comes back to that map, they could easily go up a flag or two and then just try to, stonewall up and try to, just clutch it out.
And here we are on map 5. A relatively new map in the scene, and we talked about it a little bit earlier before the match began. Dragon doing some good defense here, but there's a carrier right behind him. Does a good return, and both flags are back on their pedestal. This map does play significantly differently than the map we just saw. It's a little bit more tactical, a little bit more room for flag runners to maneuver in the back and the sides of the base. And we'll see how that plays out.
Looking like Dragon's taking the defensive position. Sharp has a really good touch right now, going up on the cave. He opted to go main.
Yeah, runs right into an enemy player, and that flag gets returned. Toby, 15 health. And intercepted by Ninja Dog, who jumps right up on that cliff. There's a lot of mobility available in this map. There's no real routes that will safeguard you. You can be shot from mid, you can be shot from behind. There's a quick lift on near the cliff if you can't outright jump to it. And flag runners do have to get out of the base, which is proving difficult. Only 1 minute in, but there's still 9 minutes to go.
Yeah, this is going to be a considerably slower game in comparison. And then I think, honestly, this is going to come out to essentially who caps first. Because once a team goes up, it's just kind of like, you have to bring it to us.
Yeah, you think a team's going to turtle up and be successful doing that? We've seen teams play a more defensive style and then they lose spawn control.
Yeah, definitely turtling up can have its disadvantages as well. So it's not... Just because you're turtling up does not mean that, you're safe. It doesn't make your job any easier. If anything, you're not applying... you're just allowing the team to overwhelm you even more with pressure. So that will be interesting to see, when a team does go up, how much counter pressure they continue to apply. Feels like both teams are playing super safe. Nobody wants to lose that first cap.
No, absolutely. And Toby nearly kicks across but gets stuck up on the geometry.
Sharp almost.
Yeah, a lot of flags getting towards the enemy, towards their own base, but not quite making it. Do you think it's because the cover's not there, or?
It's harder to say. I think I'm not specifically watching the mids, but I would have to say, wow, they actually capped.
Yeah, I was not watching Tob during that run, but he was able to get back to his base in one piece and secure the first capture of round 3.
Now I think what's going to happen is essentially what I said earlier. MOZ is not going to completely turtle up, but I think they're definitely going to take more defensive stance. I say that, and Denzo is up there killing everybody.
Well,
which
Toby
enables...
allows Toby to get through mid with 40 health and secure the second capture. So now I kind of wonder what's going on the JB side. They're down for the first time in this series. Are they scared?
Well, this is exactly what they need. I mean, you couldn't ask to be in a better position for JB. I mean, MOZ. I'm sorry. They're up in their home field. It looks like they have a pretty solid lead. It's not substantial or anything, but given how hard it is to score on this map, it's a pretty comfortable lead.
I think so. Not a whole lot of health to withstand like a direct blast. But going up top there afforded him some hard cover, and he looks like he's out and across. Dragon and Toby helping cover him. Sharp coming in with a touch. Now, based on what you're seeing, let's talk about what you're seeing for the more veteran crowd that's watching, what they're tuning in. What do you see on the field?
Honestly, I mean, I see NLZ's just doing really good timing and coordinating the pushes, and I just don't know if JB, like, it feels like they're not doing what they should be doing, which we talked earlier about how JB is supposed to be an aggressive team, and I don't know. I'm not seeing that out of them right now. It feels like they're a bit shaken or shook up about it. I honestly think that given with how I practice with JB, I think that Russ probably would have been a better pick for this map. I think Ed is a little out of touch with this map.
Do you think some JB players are suffering from the greater distance between the bases for frag control, and that might be the difference?
I would say that it looks like MOZ is just more well coordinated with how they do their runs. I don't know. I'm watching Ed right now, and he's doing good, but it feels like he's not making the right moves to be able to, I guess, generate any sort of offensive maneuver or pressure. He's going in right now, but I feel like, I don't know. We'll see.
And we're watching Dr. Noob, aka Ed, right now. When you say proper moves, let's drill down into that a little bit. Like, what, for players who aren't familiar with Doom 2 CTF, what does that mean? What would you expect from Egg's positioning?
I mean, he just picked up the flag right there. It was really good positioning by him to be able to be there for the pickup on Sharp. But like, even when he goes for next touch, he's opting just to run straight out and trying to blitz his way out, which, I don't know, like, when you're running, it's not always about just trying to frag your way out. And sometimes it's about, trying to make better decisions about how you can time it so, you're lining up with your team. And on top of that, not just running out into, complete enemy fire. And so I feel like a lot of it comes down to Ed making poor decisions offensively, but at the same time, and I think another point of it is that he's trying to push so much offensively that he's not, he's overextending, and at the same time, he's not making really good quality touches.
And I want to talk about Denizoa's recent capture there. He was able to avoid his assailant and then circle back around as soon as the flag was returned, and then just contest successfully for that flag. A great play from Denizoa in a one-on-one, and then captures yet another flag. 6-1 in favor of Moz, which is the largest margin I think we've seen so far. And definitely the biggest difference in comparison to the last two rounds concerning these two teams.
I actually watched Denzo's run, and it was actually a really, really nice run, because he managed to jump into the window area, and nobody from JB knew where he was. He probably assumed that he was in the back, and then he just blitzed it right out in main, and nobody was on him.
So, a margin of 6 flags between two teams with 2 minutes left to go. This is we talked about this in the opposite, in the reverse situation last round. JB's going to need something of a minor miracle to come back and take this match point. We'll be going into another match point on the next round, but Moz will have some life in them and on their own home field too.
Yeah, I don't know what the move for JB is to kind of address this situation. I think, as much as I agree keeping player like Ed in, I think that he's a strong player, but I do know that during the week, Russ has actually been playing this map a lot and practicing. So I honestly think that the move for JB is to sub in Russ for this map.
Zoe with another touch, but, you know, there's a couple players staring him down, doesn't get very far. Sharp does a wall run up top, which I actually didn't know you could do. But it makes sense now that I think about it. That wall run helped him gain a little bit extra speed. It's kind of like a classic Doom unintended behavior, but it's a technique that veteran players know very well. And it looks like it could be a back-to-back capture for JB in the final minute, giving them some added momentum as we look at the end of round 3.
And you just have to wonder if it's is MOZ just kind of like, you know, comfortable with their victory, so they're not pushing as hard. But I mean, not to discredit JB's moves right there. That's definitely going to help them with their mentality going forward. But I don't know. They definitely need to change something up, and I don't know if it's going to be trying to get Ed to make smarter plays, or if it's going to be replacing him entirely.
I think there is some value in what you said about them being letting off the gas pedal a little bit, because this is a marathon of a series, not a sprint, and players can burn out. Maybe reserving a little bit of energy if that's the intention. It's a good play. So we'll see. We're going into round 4, which will be again on Modern Old School Zombies home field. Still match point. Oh yeah, Rust is in for Ed.
I'm not at all surprised with this idea. When I watched them, when I helped JB practice, Rust was very well coordinated with Ninja Dog, and I think that we're going to see. I'm not saying like it's gonna completely change how this game's played out, but
and great wall run from Sharp, getting extra distance from the defender behind him that whole way. 1-0 early score for JB. But can they hold it?
But to add on to the point that I was making, Rust, when I practiced with them, Rust seemed to be like a lot more in tune with how he had a really good timing of when to help Ninja Dog, but at the same time apply counter pressure. So it's not surprising for me to see Rust in this game.
And Rust with the flag gets out to mid, 25 health. That's one good shotgun blast away. But
wow.
the cover's there for him. The cover helps him get to the pedestal. 2-0 for JB. That's the kind of synergy that JB needed that they did not seem to have last round. Is Moz out of options?
Yeah, Rust definitely putting in work right now. That was a really nice run, very clean. I feel like Ed, this is a fairly newer map, and I know that Ed hasn't been around to practice as much, so I think a lot of it has to do with Ed not being fully comfortable with the map.
It is a relatively newer map too, which Rust King is a returning player from a long absence, and to see him step in, learn the map, and coordinate heavily with his team, that's a great thing to see.
Yeah, it was speculated, that Ed was probably going to be the entire starter for the entire season, but it's really awesome to see Rust King come back and be able to contribute and actually perform well.
And nowadays, I think Capture Flag has evolved to less of a single superstar setup and more of every player's a cog in the machine, as proven by JB rallying to 3-0 in 3 minutes.
Yeah, the synergy with this team is day and night better than what it was with Ed. And it's not to say that Ed's a bad player by any means. It's just, I think that essentially what I said earlier, just lack of practice.
Sharp with 100, 100. Misses the jump, but he might be able... Oh, no, misses that shot. Fires it a little bit too early without being on target, and gets dropped.
If I were to say what I think Russ is doing that Ed didn't, it probably, like, I noticed that when Russ grabs the flag, he's running it as if he were a runner, like, essentially, which... When Ed grabbed it last round, I noticed that he just tried to blitz it out main and just tried to force his way through, where Russ is trying to take a more methodical approach as if he were the runner.
Kind of taking scope of the situation and seeing what options he has available to him.
Exactly. Rather than just trying to take the basic route out or the fastest route out, which would be, you know, just running back out straight out main.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is an example of the nuance of an ancient game like this that players have developed. Players have gotten so good with movement and aim that it comes down to little nuance factors like this. Doom still has a lot of depth competitively.
Yeah, I think Ed's role that he tries to take onto himself is more of a support fragger, and I feel like he probably doesn't trust Sharp to play mid, and so he just solely dedicates himself to mid, where it feels like Rusking is kind of filling the role and rotating with Sharp more.
And finally, an answer from Moz. Let's switch gears here and talk about Moz and how their response is being measured. Do you think that there's a change that they have to make mid-game to be able to bring this away from match point?
Well, it's very, very hard from them. I'm looking at Denzoa right now and seeing it from his eyes. It's like JB is constantly in your base. He has to help Dragon. He's trying to apply counter pressure, but it's like it just feels like watching him. He feels scrambled. He can't overextend. He can't apply enough counter pressure to really get something out of the base. And Toby looks like he's having a harder time trying to get past the defense. Maybe, I don't know, putting Dragon Denzoa solo mid. I mean solo D. I'm sorry.
And now he's another good run from Moz. I actually didn't see who the capture was. I was looking over at Twitch chat where we have a captain saying, if he was a captain, his players would know every map. Well, you're not a captain in this game, so.
Wait, Ed?
Yeah, they were talking about Ed. Ty was saying he would make sure all his players know every map.
Well, that's not always the case that you can just force everybody to do what you want them to do.
It's tough, you know. Scheduling does happen across, the entire globe. We have players in this league who are on almost every continent. So timing of practice can be very difficult depending on where they're located. And, you know, you have players who are good on some maps and not so great on others. That's just the nature of being a player in any game, in any arena. There are a lot of factors to consider.
It looks like MOZ is getting a lot more pressure right now, and I'm not sure if it's because JB's opting to take a more defensive stance just because they're already up, but...
That's another capture. Good return for Sharp, who's already on the pedestal, kind of dancing for his life for that capture. 4-2. 2.5 minutes left. I mean, this could be it. This could be the end of the series.
Really could be. I mean, I feel like JB now has like a comfortable lead going forward, and it's going to be hard. I feel like I was watching Denzel, and I almost thought that he was playing defense for a second, but MOZ needs to push hard right now. They need to try to rotate as much as they can to keep pressure going on because time is ticking and they need to make caps.
And as far as frag power goes, Moz is up about 20 points overall. But, you know, that's not truly it doesn't mean that they are in control of the whole map. In fact, a map like this, because of the distance between the two bases, it'll be how you apply those frags rather than the number itself.
Yeah, I think a lot of the plays that we've seen like happen is more so just the efficiency and positioning more so than frag dominance.
Ninja Dog doing a great job on defense there, while a couple touches happen elsewhere in the map. Dengzoa, however, gets behind at 15 health with multiple players staring at him. Is not going to do him any favors. Dragon, 5 health and a dream. There are a lot of touches from Maz members coming out. Sharp does have the flag on the other end of the map, intercepted by Dragon. Toby gets nearly across, but it gets returned less than a minute.
Dragon had a really good read on and returned the flag, which almost ended up in a cap for them. But JB doing really well to hold their defense.
And a tie here would also be preferable because it would also force a round 5. But it's looking pretty tough for Mars to come back at this point.
Yeah, and it's going to be hard, even if it does tie. Like, they have to go back to a map where, they didn't have a lot of success on. And the morale is probably going to be pretty beat if it's not already.
And there's no way, even if they were to change each flag, that they could come back at this point. We're looking at game, set, and match, and championship in favor of Jogo Bonito. Congratulations to Ninja Dog, Rust King, Sharp, and Ed. And well played through the season of, what ended up becoming a very quick season in comparison. And I think a lot of players want to say that it was very well received.
Yeah, a lot of the community that I talked to about this league, everybody was genuinely pretty happy with the with how it played out, and everybody felt very invested into it. And I can definitely tell that people were pretty heartbroken, once they got knocked out.
Yeah, but that's Doom for you. It can be it's quite a thrill to compete in, and it's a pleasure to cast. Thank you to Ross King, a veteran player and veteran captain, for sharing your wisdom and insight into the game in this pretty fun to watch grand finals. This was not a blowout, despite looking at 3-1. But yeah, thanks for sharing some of your valuable Sunday time with us.
And thank you for having me on. I really enjoyed my time.
Absolutely. And if you guys are looking for more Doom capture flag action, this map set comes from the World Doom League, and we are looking towards a season later on this summer, and which will be the International Doom League's 15th anniversary. 15 years of just non-stop capture flag action. So hey, if you guys at home like what you see, stay tuned this summer for more of that. But for right now, this is Xenaero signing off. Thank you to everybody for coming out and sharing in the victory of Jogo Bonito. We're going to kick you guys over to another stream. Thanks again to Ross King for coming out. A great co-host, and we might be hearing from him in the future. Thank you, everybody, and have a good rest of your weekend.